Welcome to BOKERMAN, your go-to place for captivating stories, thrilling book adaptations, and exciting serialized adventures. Whether it's mystery, fantasy, sci-fi, or drama, we bring stories to life one episode at a time. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Join the BOKERMAN community and dive into your next great adventure. Episode 1. The Silence Before. Segment January 20th. The power had been out for 2 days now. The quiet hum of electricity, once a constant companion in Tyler Morgan's suburban home in Asheville, North Carolina, was replaced by a heavy silence that seemed to press down on everything. Tyler stood at the second-floor window, gripping a rusted baseball bat he'd found in the garage. Outside, the street was unnervingly still. Abandoned cars blocked the road, doors flung open, and a stroller lay overturned in the middle of the cracked pavement. The usual morning noises, birds chirping, dogs barking, children laughing, were absent. Only the distant sound of a siren echoed faintly, fading away into nothingness. Behind him, his wife Rachel sat on the worn carpet, holding their 6-year-old daughter Emily close. Emily's small body trembled, her wide eyes reflecting a fear Tyler felt deep in his bones. Tyler's mind raced back to the news reports from a few days ago. Rumors of a viral outbreak spreading rapidly through the Southeast. The CDC offices were shuttered. Emergency broadcasts warned people to stay indoors, but the details were scarce. Mutated virus, they called it. Infected. But the truth was far worse than anything they could imagine. He felt a cold weight in his chest as he watched a figure stumble at the end of the street. A man with torn clothes, pale skin stretched tight over a gaunt face, eyes milky and unseeing. His movements were jerky, unnatural. The man turned suddenly, locking eyes with Tyler. A guttural, inhuman moan escaped his lips. Tyler swallowed hard. The nightmare had arrived. Tyler stepped back from the window, heart pounding in his chest like a drum. That man had seen him, but it hadn't looked at him like a person would. There was no recognition, no emotion, just hunger. He turned quickly. "We need to go downstairs. Now." Rachel looked up, her arms tightening protectively around Emily. "What did you see?" "I don't know," Tyler said, lying. "Just someone. But we can't stay near the windows." He led them down to the first floor, every step creaking like a scream in the silence. The living room was dark, lit only by the pale daylight leaking through the slats of the boarded-up windows. Tyler had nailed the wood himself the day before, after hearing gunshots 2 blocks away. They reached the kitchen, where a battery-powered radio sat silent on the counter. He turned the knob static. He tried again, nothing. Dead frequencies. Rachel sat Emily on one of the chairs and brushed a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "She hasn't eaten since yesterday," she whispered. Tyler opened a cupboard and pulled out a small can of ravioli. "We need to ration, but she needs strength." He placed the cold can in front of Emily. She stared at it blankly, then slowly picked up the spoon. Suddenly, a dull thump echoed from outside. Tyler dropped to a crouch, motioning for silence. Another thump, louder. It was coming from the porch. He crept to the front door and peered through the peephole. A shadow stood just beyond the glass, twitching, swaying. A low moan leaked through the doorframe. Rachel mouthed a question. "Is it one of them?" Tyler nodded grimly. His fingers tightened around the baseball bat. The door rattled. Emily whimpered softly. Tyler whispered, "Don't make a sound." The moaning on the porch deepened, vibrating through the door like some ancient, guttural chant. Tyler's breath slowed. He pressed his back against the wall beside the entryway, his grip on the bat slick with sweat. Rachel crouched low beside Emily, wrapping both arms around her. The girl clung to her stuffed rabbit, knuckles white. The thing outside scraped something against the door. Fingernails? Bone? Wood? It was hard to tell. Then came a heavy, deliberate thud. And another. Each strike shook dust loose from the ceiling. It wasn't testing the door. It was trying to break through. Tyler whispered, "It knows we're in here." Rachel's eyes widened, but she didn't speak. She just held Emily tighter. Then, as suddenly as it began, the pounding stopped. Silence. Seconds passed like hours. Tyler eased forward and looked through the peephole again. Nothing. Just the porch swaying slightly in the breeze. No figure. No moaning. No movement. He exhaled, but he didn't relax. "That thing's not gone far," he said quietly. Rachel stood slowly. "We can't stay here, can we?" "No," Tyler said. "Not for long. They're getting bolder." Rachel glanced at Emily, who was staring blankly at the floor. "Where do we go?" "There's a gas station just off Route 19. If we can make it there, maybe there's food. Fuel. Maybe someone else." Rachel looked doubtful. "Or maybe more of them." "Maybe," Tyler said. "But if we stay here, we're just waiting to die." Outside, a car alarm suddenly blared to life 3 houses down. Then came a scream, short, sharp, and human. Rachel flinched. Emily covered her ears. Tyler looked toward the front door one last time. "We leave tonight, when it's dark." Night came slowly, dragging with it a creeping sense of dread. Tyler packed quietly in the dark, flashlight beam low and narrow. A backpack slung over his shoulder held bottled water, 2 cans of food, a roll of bandages, and spare batteries. The baseball bat hung from a loop on his belt, and the rifle, his grandfather's old Winchester, was strapped across his back. Rachel bundled Emily in a hooded sweatshirt, even though the night air was still warm. "She's cold," she whispered. "Shock, maybe." Emily didn't speak. She hadn't said a word since the scream earlier. Tyler crouched beside her. "Hey, Em," he said gently. "We're going to take a little trip. Quiet and easy. Okay?" Emily gave a tiny nod but didn't look up. Rachel took the stuffed rabbit from the couch and tucked it into Emily's arms. "He's coming too." Tyler moved to the window and peeled back a corner of the board. The street was washed in moonlight. Shadows stretched like claws over the pavement. He saw no movement, but he didn't trust the stillness. "Stay behind me," he said. "Stay low. Stay quiet." Rachel nodded, holding Emily's hand tight. They stepped outside. The air was thick with the smell of rot and something metallic, blood, maybe. Broken glass crunched underfoot as they crept across the lawn. Tyler scanned every corner, every porch, every parked car. They passed the Hendersons' house. The front door was wide open. Inside, furniture lay overturned, and something dark streaked the walls. Rachel looked away. Emily stumbled, but Tyler caught her gently. "Almost there," he whispered. Then a soft groan floated from somewhere behind them. They froze. Tyler turned slowly. Across the street, in the shadows between 2 houses, something moved. The figure stepped into the moonlight, a woman or what used to be one. Her head twitched unnaturally, chin jerking from side to side. Her mouth hung open, jaw slack, a gurgling moan rising from her throat. Her dress was soaked in something dark, and her bare feet scraped against the asphalt. Rachel gasped. The sound made the creature snap toward them with sudden intensity. It screamed, not in pain, but like a warning call. Tyler didn't hesitate. "Run!" he shouted, grabbing Emily's hand and pulling her into a sprint. Rachel followed close behind. Behind them, the shrieking grew louder, echoed by more voices. Multiple. Close. They cut through the neighbor's yard, hopping a low wooden fence into a back alley filled with garbage bins and dead silence. Tyler ducked behind a shed, breathing hard. He pressed Emily against his chest, trying to keep her quiet. Rachel crouched beside them, wide-eyed. Footsteps. Shuffling. Moaning. It was getting closer again. Tyler peeked around the corner. 3 of them now. One dragged a broken leg, bones exposed. Another had no nose, just a hole in the middle of its face. They were slow but not stupid. They were following the noise. He waited until they passed. Then he motioned quickly. Now. They slipped through a side gate and into another backyard, then through to the street behind their block. Tyler knew the way. He'd walked this route to the gas station 100 times. But tonight it felt foreign, hostile. When they reached the edge of the woods, he slowed, checking the tree line. The forest looked calm, but he knew that didn't mean safe. Rachel leaned close. "How much farther?" "Half a mile," he whispered. "If we keep moving." A howl echoed from behind them. Not an animal. Not a human. Something in between. Tyler looked at the trees. "We go now." No stopping. Branches whipped at their clothes and faces as they pushed through the undergrowth. The forest wasn't thick, but at night it felt like a maze. Every shadow a threat, every rustle a warning. Tyler led the way, moving quickly but carefully. Emily clung to Rachel, silent except for her breathing. Rachel's arms ached from holding her, but she didn't dare put her down. Behind them, the howls came again, closer this time. Not just one, several. "They're tracking us?" Tyler muttered, sweat running down his back despite the cool night. Rachel's voice was tight. "How? Can they smell?" "Maybe. Or they heard us run." The flashlight flickered once, then steadied. Its beam danced across tree trunks and ferns. Every time Tyler swept it forward, he braced for movement. 10 more minutes, he thought. 10 minutes and we'll see the gas station lights. They reached a slope that dropped down toward the road. Tyler paused, crouching low. "I'll go first. If it's clear, I'll signal." He slid down the incline quietly, boots crunching dirt and leaves. When he reached the bottom, he crouched behind a fallen log and scanned the area. The gas station stood across the road. A squat brick building, partly lit by a flickering neon sign. One of the windows was smashed. A car with its door open sat parked at an angle. No movement, no moans, just wind. Tyler waved them down. Rachel and Emily slid after him, careful not to fall. When they reached the road, Tyler motioned to stay low and moved across the cracked asphalt. A streetlight buzzed above them, casting harsh shadows that made everything look worse than it already was. They approached the station's side entrance. Tyler tried the handle. Locked. He looked at the smashed front window. "In through there," he said. "I'll go first." He climbed inside, landing with a soft thud. Then he froze. Inside, a whisper of movement. Something was already here. Tyler crouched behind a rack of dusty snacks, his breath held tight in his chest. He'd heard it, soft, slow movement. Something dragging, shuffling. He glanced around. The store interior was dim, lit only by the sickly flicker of a broken overhead light. Shelves were toppled. Blood smeared the floor by the cashier's counter. Another sound, the creak of plastic bottles shifting. Tyler raised his bat, moving inch by inch. Then he saw it. Near the back coolers, half concealed by a fallen shelf, a figure knelt over something or someone. Shoulders hunched, head jerking with sharp, wet sounds. It didn't notice him. He signaled through the window, palm flat, "Don't come in." Outside, Rachel pulled Emily back from the window and crouched low. Tyler crept forward, boots silent against the broken tiles. The thing's head snapped up. Its face was wrong. Eyes sunken, jaw slack, mouth red with blood. Flesh dangled from its chin. Its tongue lolled sideways as it hissed, rising to its feet. Tyler didn't wait. He charged, swinging the bat with all his weight. Crack! The bat connected with a sickening crunch. The creature stumbled, but didn't fall. Turned toward him with terrifying speed. Tyler swung again. A second crack, this one wet and final. The thing collapsed. Tyler stood over the corpse, chest heaving. Then he heard a voice. Faint, rasping. "Help!" He looked behind the counter. A teenage boy lay there, blood soaking his hoodie. Pale, shaking, eyes full of pain, but alive. Tyler knelt beside him. "What happened?" The boy coughed. They got my dad. I locked the door, but one got in through the back." Tyler looked toward the rear exit. It hung half open. He turned back to the window and waved Rachel inside. Rachel climbed through the broken window, careful to shield Emily from the jagged glass. The girl's eyes darted across the room, wide and unblinking, until they landed on the blood-soaked body behind the counter. She turned her face into her mother's shoulder. Tyler helped them in, then pointed toward the snack aisle. "Stay with her. I found someone." Rachel's brow furrowed as she glanced toward the counter. Alive. Barely. The boy's breathing was shallow. His name was Josh, 17, maybe 18. A deep gash ran across his side, and his jeans were soaked with blood. Rachel knelt beside him. He needs pressure on that wound. Tyler looked around. There's a first aid kit behind the counter. He found it partially used but still stocked with gauze and disinfectant. Rachel worked quickly, pressing the gauze into Josh's wound as he groaned weakly. "You'll be okay," she said gently. "Just breathe." Josh winced. "They took my dad. I told him not to go out there." Rachel met Tyler's eyes. "He won't make it far like this." "We can't carry him," Tyler whispered. "Not with Emily. Not with them hunting us." Emily stood a few feet away now, staring at a spinning ceiling fan that wasn't moving. Her stuffed rabbit dragged on the floor behind her. Josh looked up. "Don't leave me." Rachel hesitated. "We're not yet." Tyler walked to the glass doors and looked outside. The woods were still, but something about the air felt wrong. "We can't stay long," he said. "Once the sun rises, they'll move again." Rachel stood slowly, wiping blood from her hands. "We can let him rest a while, regain strength. Then we decide." Tyler looked back at Josh, pale, sweating, eyes fluttering. They didn't have time. But how do you leave someone behind when the world is already ending? Tyler moved through the store, checking every aisle, every dark corner. He wasn't about to let his guard down. Not now. The station's back room was mostly intact. Shelves full of expired snacks, canned chili, and a few dusty water bottles. Jackpot. He stuffed as much as he could into his backpack. He found a flashlight, a pack of lighters, and, miraculously, 2 AA battery packs. Then, taped to the inside of a locker door, he saw something unexpected. A hand-drawn map. Tyler pulled it free. Someone had marked routes and locations, gas stations, supply stops, rest zones, and circled a small spot in the mountains labeled Safe Haven. He stared at it for a moment. Hope or bait. He folded the map and shoved it into his back pocket. Back in the store, Rachel had wrapped Josh's side with a proper bandage. He was more stable now, but barely conscious. Emily sat curled up near the counter, gently humming to herself. Tyler knelt beside Rachel. There might be a place, out west up in the Smokies. Someone marked it as a safe zone. Rachel frowned. "Another rumor?" "Maybe," Tyler said. "But it's more than we've got now." She didn't respond right away. She was staring at Josh, his breath shallow, eyes closed. "He'll never make it on foot," she said. "Even with help." "I know." Outside, the wind picked up, whistling through the shattered front window. Then a sound, faint, distant, but real. Engine. Rachel stood quickly, moving toward the door. "You hear that?" Tyler joined her at the window. Headlights appeared through the trees, slow and deliberate, turning onto the road in front of the station. A vehicle. A truck. Large. Moving slow. Rachel's voice was barely a whisper. "Should we hide?" Tyler watched the truck roll to a stop. The engine idled. Then, the driver's door opened. A man stepped out of the truck, tall and broad-shouldered, silhouetted by the headlights. He wore a tactical vest over a flannel shirt, and a rifle was slung across his chest. A heavy beard covered most of his face, but Tyler could see his eyes, cautious, scanning the area like someone who'd seen too much. Behind him, a second door opened. A woman climbed out. Slim build, dark ponytail, a pistol in one hand, flashlight in the other. She moved like she knew how to use both. Tyler stepped back from the window. "Armed. 2 of them," he whispered. "They don't look infected." Rachel kept Emily close. "But that doesn't mean they're friendly." The man approached the station slowly, one hand raised in a loose show of peace. "Anyone in there?" he called out. "We're not looking for trouble." Tyler exchanged a glance with Rachel. The woman circled the truck, checking shadows. "I'll handle it," Tyler said. He stepped to the open window and leaned out slightly, bat lowered but visible. "We're here, just passing through. Got a kid with us. We're not a threat." The man stopped, Good to hear it. We got supplies. Looking for others. Figured someone might have holed up here. Maybe, Tyler said. That map on your dash say anything about a safe haven? The man's eyes narrowed slightly. Yeah. You too? Huh. Tyler nodded. Heard a whisper. A beat of silence passed. Then the woman spoke up. We've got space in the truck, she said. Safer than walking. Tyler looked back inside at Rachel, at Emily, at the unconscious boy bleeding beside the counter. He turned back to the strangers. Let me ask you something first, he said. When's the last time you saved someone and didn't regret it? The man didn't smile, but he didn't look away either. The man finally spoke. 3 days ago, pulled a kid out of a wrecked RV near Knoxville. He was starving, half-conscious. Carried him 5 miles on foot. Tyler kept his voice even. And he died the next morning. The woman added, doesn't mean we stopped trying. Tyler studied them in silence. Then he nodded. Wait here. He ducked back inside. Rachel was already standing, holding Emily close. What do you think? They seem real. Armed, organized, but cautious. I don't think they're raiders. She looked toward Josh. We can't leave him here. I wasn't going to. He knelt beside the boy, whose eyes fluttered open at the sound. You still with us? Josh gave a slow nod. Mostly. Tyler smiled faintly. Think you can ride in a truck? Josh grunted. Better than walking. Tyler turned to Rachel. Help me carry him. Together, they lifted Josh carefully. Tyler grabbed their bags, slung them over his shoulder, and guided everyone to the window. Outside, the man stepped forward when he saw Emily. His voice softened. You've got a kid. Damn. All right, let's load you up. Rachel climbed through first with Emily, then Tyler and Josh. The woman helped them into the bed of the truck, tossing in extra blankets and handing over a sealed water bottle. I'm Claire, she said. That's Mason. Tyler, he replied. My wife Rachel, our daughter Emily, and this is Josh. Mason climbed into the driver's seat and started the engine. As the truck rolled forward, Tyler looked back at the dark gas station growing smaller behind them. It already felt like a lifetime ago. Claire turned from the front seat. We're heading west, toward the mountains, toward that safe haven. Tyler nodded. Let's hope it's more than a rumor. Mason spoke without turning. Only one way to find out. The truck rumbled down the cracked highway, headlights cutting through the thick darkness. Trees on either side loomed like silent sentinels as they headed west toward the distant mountains. Inside the cab, Mason kept his eyes fixed on the road, his jaw tight. Claire sat beside him, her hand resting lightly on the gearshift, ready to react. Tyler watched Rachel in the back seat, gently stroking Emily's hair as the girl slept fitfully. Josh lay curled up beside them, pale but steady. The air was thick with tension, unspoken fears hanging between them all. After miles of silence, Mason finally spoke. Safe Haven's supposed to be an old ranger station. Stockpiled, fortified. A lot of folks are heading there. Tyler glanced at Claire. Have you been? Claire shook her head. No, just heard through the radio chatter. We're taking a risk heading there, but it beats wandering aimlessly. Rachel's voice was barely above a whisper. What happened back there? At the gas station. Mason grimaced. We got tipped off to a group hiding out there. Raiders. Thought we could clear the area, help anyone left. Tyler frowned. Raiders. Claire nodded. People who've given up on helping others. They take what they want by force. No mercy. Emily stirred, mumbling in her sleep. Rachel tightened her hold. It's a cruel world. Tyler stared out the window. It's not over yet. The truck jolted as Mason swerved to avoid a fallen tree branch. In the darkness, unseen eyes watched them pass. The night stretched on, the road winding like a snake through dense forests and empty towns. Tyler's mind raced, remembering the faces they'd seen. Friends, neighbors, strangers, all changed, lost to something darker. He looked at Rachel, her eyes closed, exhaustion etched deep in her features. Emily rested against her chest, fragile and trusting. Josh shifted beside them, moaning softly in his sleep. Claire broke the silence again. "We're lucky you found us when you did. Out here alone, it's death." Tyler swallowed hard. "We thought we could make it on our own." Mason snorted. "Most don't." Tyler nodded. "We've been running since it started, trying to stay ahead." The truck slowed as they approached a small bridge crossing a shallow creek. Mason glanced in the rearview mirror. "I don't like how quiet it is ahead." Claire checked her pistol. "Something's wrong." Tyler gripped the edge of the seat. "Stay sharp." Suddenly, a figure appeared in the middle of the bridge, waving frantically, shouting for help. Mason slammed the brakes. The truck skidded, tires screeching. Tyler reached for his rifle, but Mason held up a hand. "Wait!" Rachel stiffened. "Who is that?" Claire peered out. "Could be a trap," Tyler whispered. "Or someone desperate." The figure stepped closer. A young woman, bleeding from a gash on her arm, eyes wide with fear. She collapsed to her knees. "Please," she gasped. "Help me." Tyler unbuckled his seatbelt and opened the door despite the warnings flashing in his mind. "Let me help," he said, stepping down into the cold night air. Rachel held Emily tightly, her eyes fixed on the newcomer. The woman's breathing was ragged, pain clear in every movement. Blood seeped from her torn sleeve, staining the dirt beneath her. Mason hovered near the driver's seat, rifle at the ready. Claire's gaze flicked between Tyler and the woman, calculating. Tyler knelt beside her, gently lifting her head. "Name?" he asked softly. "Sarah," she whispered. I was with a group. We were attacked. They took everyone else." Josh stirred awake, groaning softly. Sarah's eyes flickered toward the truck bed. "Is that a kid?" "You're lucky to have her." Rachel nodded. "She's our daughter." Sarah coughed, wincing. "We need shelter. Safe place. I heard about the safe haven. Can you help me get there?" Tyler exchanged a glance with Mason and Claire. Mason nodded. "We don't leave people behind." Claire's voice was firm. "But we keep moving. No delays." Tyler helped Sarah to her feet. "Let's get you inside." As they climbed back into the truck, Tyler felt the weight of their fragile group. Survivors bound by chance, facing a world turned upside down. The road ahead was uncertain, but together they had a chance. The truck rolled on through the night, tires humming against the cracked pavement. Inside, the small group settled into a fragile silence, broken only by the soft breathing of Emily and the occasional cough from Sarah. Tyler stared out the window, watching shadows flicker under the trees. Every mile felt like a battle won. But the war was far from over. Rachel shifted Emily, smoothing the girl's hair. "We can't keep running forever," she whispered. Tyler nodded slowly. "We'll find somewhere safe. We have to." Josh coughed again, a harsh, rattling sound. Tyler glanced over. The boy's face was pale, sweat beading at his forehead. Claire pulled a small medical kit from the glove compartment, offering Rachel a bottle of painkillers. "This should help." Rachel shook her head. "I don't know if his body can take much more." Mason glanced in the rearview mirror, eyes narrowing. "We're almost at the turnoff for the mountains." Tyler exhaled deeply. Safe haven's close. The truck slowed as they approached a fork in the road, old wooden signs barely visible in the moonlight. Mason pulled over, turning off the engine. The group sat in tense silence. Claire finally broke it. "We rest here for a bit. Regroup." Tyler nodded, rubbing his eyes. "Tomorrow we push on." The night felt heavy, the darkness thick around them like a shroud. But for now there was a moment, a pause between the chaos. Morning came with a cold, gray sky. The truck sat parked beneath towering pine trees, shadows stretching long over the cracked road. Tyler woke first, stepping out to breathe in the crisp mountain air. His muscles ached from days of tension and little rest. Rachel followed, carrying Emily, who still slept fitfully. Josh lay in the back, pale but breathing steadily. Claire moved quietly, checking the supplies and scanning the treeline. Mason lit a small camp stove, warming water for coffee. The scent of brewing coffee was a strange comfort in this new world. Tyler pulled out the folded map again. The safe haven was marked just a few miles ahead, deep in the mountains, near an old ranger station. "We're close," Tyler said. "Too close to turn back now." Rachel nodded, folding Emily's blanket. Josh stirred, eyes opening slowly. "Where are we?" "On the way to safety," Tyler said gently. Suddenly, a rustle came from the nearby bushes. Everyone froze. Tyler reached for his rifle. A small fox darted out, pausing to look before disappearing into the woods. Claire exhaled. "Just wildlife." Tyler smiled faintly. "For now." After breaking camp, the group loaded the truck and continued their journey along winding mountain roads. The landscape shifted. Dense forests gave way to rocky slopes, and the air grew cooler and thinner. Tyler kept his eyes on the horizon, searching for any sign of the ranger station marked on the map. Hours passed without incident, but the tension never left. Everyone seemed lost in their own thoughts, the silence filled only by the hum of the engine and occasional coughs from Josh. Claire glanced at Tyler. "You ever been up here before?" Tyler shook his head. "No, but I've heard stories about people trying to rebuild, starting fresh." Rachel sighed. "It sounds like a dream." Suddenly, Mason's hand shot out, signaling to slow down. Up ahead, the road was blocked by a fallen tree, freshly cut and placed there intentionally. Tyler's heart sank. "Raiders." Claire loaded a fresh round into her pistol. "We'll have to find another way around." Mason jumped out and surveyed the area. "There's a narrow trail through the woods. Might get us around, but it's risky." Rachel looked to Tyler. "What do you think?" Tyler nodded slowly. "We don't have a choice." As they prepared to detour into the forest, a low growl echoed from the trees. Tyler tightened his grip on his rifle. The forest wasn't just blocking their path. Something was waiting. The group left the cracked highway behind, plunging into the dense woods. Branches whipped at their faces. Roots threatened to trip them with every step. The truck, loaded with supplies and the injured, slowly made its way down the narrow dirt trail Mason had found. Tyler scanned the shadows, rifle ready. Emily clung tightly to Rachel, shivering despite the sweatshirt. Josh leaned against a tree, pale but steady. The growls came again, low and menacing. "Wolves," Rachel whispered. Mason shook his head. "Not wolves." Claire's eyes narrowed. "Infected." Tyler swallowed hard. "We keep moving."
No stopping.
Suddenly, the truck jolted violently. A hidden stump caught the undercarriage, sending a shower of sparks. Mason cursed and slammed the brakes. The growling grew louder, now accompanied by distant footsteps. Tyler raised his rifle. "Get ready." From the shadows, figures emerged. Pale, ragged, eyes burning with hunger. The infected. They circled the truck, snarling, closing in. Tyler fired a warning shot. The gunshot echoed through the trees. For a moment, the creatures hesitated. Then, with horrifying speed, they attacked. Chaos erupted in the narrow forest trail. Mason fought to keep control of the truck as infected clawed at the windows and tires. Claire fired into the dark mass, each shot echoing like thunder among the trees. Tyler leaned out the side door, swinging his bat wildly, striking any creature that got too close. Rachel shielded Emily, pulling her down into the seat. Josh, weak but determined, gripped Tyler's arm. "We can't keep this up," Mason growled through gritted teeth. "Hold on. I'm taking us through." The truck lurched forward, tires spinning in mud and leaves. The infected swarmed, relentless. Branches snapped underfoot. A creature caught on the bumper, its body slamming against the metal as Mason accelerated. Tyler saw a shadow leap from a tree, aiming for Emily. Without thinking, he dove, knocking the figure aside just in time. Claire fired twice, the shots ringing sharp. The truck burst out of the woods onto a gravel road, leaving the snarling pack behind. Panting, Tyler sank into his seat, heart racing. Rachel hugged Emily tight. We made it. Josh coughed weakly. For now. Mason glanced back into the darkness. They'll follow. We need a real plan. Tyler nodded. Safe haven. That's the only hope. The gravel road stretched ahead, flanked by towering pines and fading moonlight. Exhaustion weighed on them all, but the promise of safety drove them onward. Tyler glanced at the map once more, tracing the route with a tired finger. The ranger station, the safe haven, was just over the next ridge. Rachel adjusted Emily in her arms, whispering soothing words. Josh leaned heavily against the doorframe, his strength ebbing. Mason drove steadily, eyes sharp. Claire kept vigil, pistol ready. The silence in the truck was heavy, filled with unspoken fears and fragile hope. Tyler broke it softly. We survived the night. Tomorrow we'll see if safe haven is real. Rachel nodded, tears glistening. For Emily. For all of us. The first light of dawn began to paint the sky. Pale, uncertain, but undeniable. Outside, the world was still broken. But inside that battered truck, a spark of hope burned bright. The road ahead was long, but together they would face whatever came next.